Welcome to another Todd's
2-Minute Tech Tip Tuesday.
Brought to you by the National RV Training Academy, the largest hands-on RV training academy in America. Hey, before we get to the video, which I know this is the reason why you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss anything. Hit the subscribe button now. Thank you. Now, back to our Tech Tip Tuesday. Hey, on this Tech Tip Tuesday, I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions here. Now, do want to let you know I did do a video just last week on testing the LumaSafe. We're still in the middle of the test, so hold on, right? We're going to see how it goes. I know some of you are looking to where to get it. We'll get to that if it passes through, right? I will be able to actually get the LumaSafe if it does its job. But until then, let me go ahead and answer some of your questions. So I've got a couple questions here, and let's go ahead and get those taken care of. Here we go. All right, it says, our Dometic water heater makes a sporadic clicking noise while in electric mode when we turn it on. We rarely actually use the propane to heat our water, usually just the electric. Could the propane igniter be getting a signal from the control panel by trying to light the propane that isn't available? Right, so your help would be greatly appreciated, Todd. You're awesome. Can you please just help out? Yeah, didn't say that, but anyway. Should. All right, so sporadic clicking noise. Now, it could be a couple things, right? You did say, could it be the igniter, click, 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 which means, yeah, that would be an awfully bad short on the circuit board. The one way to tell with that is if you hear the clicking and you think it's the igniter, go outside, right, and look at the igniter because, of course, there's going to be a small gap on that igniter, roughly about 3/16 of an inch. And you're going to see a spark, right? If you're seeing a spark while on electric, oh yeah, you've got something going on with the circuit board. Also, because the tank is metal, right? And as we are heating up that water, it gets to a certain temperature, every once in a while that metal will flex. Well, there'll be certain times there'll be a sporadic click. I don't know if you just didn't hear it before, but from time to time you'll hear that, right? So the thing is, you know, if you suspect it's the igniter, you know, on the propane side, which shouldn't be igniting while you're in electric mode, first make sure that you don't have both the electric switch on and the propane switch on, because some older models, you can turn on both, and whenever it goes into the heating process, both come on at the same time. Okay, and if you don't have propane, yes, it's going to try and ignite. It'll do it, you know, through three systems and then finally shut down. So just make sure you're not sending two signals to the circuit board. The way to confirm with that is make sure that it's off on propane at whatever selector dial switch you have inside the RV. Walk outside and then stand there and look at your water heater. Don't get too close, but stand there and see if the igniter is actually going on. If that's the case, could be a short. Then again, it could be just those two buttons, because some older models, you can use the electric and the propane at the same time. It just heats the water up faster. But in your case, if you're not using propane, yeah, it's just going to go into what we call propane lockout. So check that out. Another question that we had, this has to do with batteries. So this comes from a Scott Whitesell. Here we go. I have a 400-watt solar panel and two deep cycle batteries, 150 amp hours. Okay, two deep cycle batteries, 150 amp hours. I'm assuming they're lead acid gel or AGM because it doesn't say. They're drawing between 225 and 325 watts, and my batteries are discharging to 50% in less than 10 minutes. Everything is less than 6 months old. Any ideas what could be wrong? Any feedback from you would be most welcome. By my math, it should run for roughly around 6 hours at 50% input. All right, here's how he's getting those numbers. He's got a 150 amp hour battery, two of those. And because he's calculating at 50%, and we'll say that he's got 300 amp hours, but he's at 50%, he's only going to use 150 amp hours. If we look at it from from wattage, 150 times 12 volts is about 1800 watts. So what he's saying is, if my batteries are discharging the way they should, right, I should have about 1800 watts of available power in those batteries before my battery's at 50%, okay? He's consuming between 225 and 325 watts per hour. So we take the 325 and divide that into 1,800, and we come out to about 5.5 hours. That's what he should be getting. He says they're draining to 50% in 10 minutes. So my first question is, what's indicating to you that they're 50%? Do you have some type of digital display? And how does that digital display communicate with your batteries? Here's the thing, there's too many variables here, too many unknowns. This is what we would do on a battery. Old school load test. Charge your batteries up all the way, whatever the voltage is at the terminals with no load. Check your voltage. Now, apply a load. Go turn on your fart fans or whatever they may be. Draw about 500 watts. And let's see if the voltage drops, okay? It's going to drop a little bit because when there's flow, you're going to drop a little bit of pressure. Okay, so let's say you've got lead acid gel AGM batteries. You drop it to about, from 12.7 volts down to about 12.5. It's a good battery, okay? Then I would question, how are you getting 50%? Is it an indicator on the wall? If it's an indicator on the wall, is it synchronized, right? They sometimes get out of synchronization. We got to figure that out. I don't know how you're verifying the 50%, so I'm going through all the different machinations for it. All right. Now, if you're at 12.7 or whatever there is, and you're instantly dropping down to say 12.3 or 12.2 on a small load like 500 watts, actually that's a pretty decent load on a lead acid battery, 500 watts. If you're dropping down more than say 3%, then yeah, your battery's kind of toast. We say it's not holding the charge. And if you're running through in 10 minutes, question is, how old is your batteries? What's the condition of the terminals? Are they clean? Are they tight? Are your connections tight? Okay, energy can't be created or destroyed. It's not going anywhere, but I want to find out where the voltage drop is. And if it's just in the battery, then, well, it may be time to change your batteries. But also, again, it could be whatever you're using on the wall. I know if you're not Scott, a lot of information there. You got to go back and rewind it, right? Because I'm going through all the different possibilities. But if you can respond, tell me how you're getting the 50%. If it's a wall indicator, then the question is how do we resynchronize it, right? Again, check the voltage at the batteries, fully charged. What's the voltage? Put a load on it. Keep your voltmeter there, and let's see what the drop is, okay? If it doesn't drop that much, maybe the indicator on the wall is no longer synchronized. But if it drops quite a bit, maybe it's time to get some big beard batteries and not have to worry about all that. See that plug there? It's pretty good. All right, one more question for this Tech Tip Tuesday. Great video, Todd. I'm also doing the correspondence course. I'm currently researching the 12-volt fridge or residential fridge for a motorhome. As you mentioned, people are having issues with the burned out 12-volt compressors. Are we still having those issues? Well, in most cases, no. Okay. Anytime something new comes out, right, there's some unintended consequences. And we were burning up the motors, and a lot of it has to do with low voltage going to a 12-volt compressor, right? We're already starting off at a low voltage 12 volts. And if I send low voltage, say 11 volts, well, the amperage increases. So there's a lot of burnouts because, well, one, if you're using a lead acid gel or AGM battery, a single one, you can drain that very fast, okay? And as you drain a lead acid gel or AGM battery, the voltage will drop, okay? And you get to 50%, you're right at 12 volts. You drain that more than 50%, now you're below the voltage, right? Amperage starts rising, burns up the motors. So that's one thing. The second thing is there was sales taking place, and they were saying, yes, you can go all weekend long. Well, here's the thing. A 100 amp hour battery has 1,200 watts in it at 12 volts, so 1,200 watts. If the 12-volt refrigerator is drawing about 400 watts per hour, well, then you can kind of figure out you're only going to get about 4 hours out of that battery, right? And if it's a lead acid gel or AGM, about 2.5, maybe 3 hours. So yeah, we're draining them way too fast. As the knowledge for you, the RV owner comes up and says, hey, look, I need to maintain my batteries. Maybe get a big beard battery. Well, then if I keep it maintained, then I protect that 12-volt compressor, right? So do your homework, right? And if you do go with the 12-volt compressor, make sure you have a good battery, or at least maintain the proper voltage. Make sure that you understand you only got so many hours in between charges. You have solar panels, that'll definitely help out. Plugged in the 7-pin connector while you're traveling down the road, it's going to help out a little bit as well. It's the overnight stuff where you're not plugged in. If you only have one battery, you're not going to get that far. Two batteries, a little bit better, so on. If you have a larger battery, 300 amp hours, lithium, yeah, you can go all weekend. There's your tech tip. All right, before you get to the bloopers, which is why you're here in the first place, the RV industry needs thousands of RV technicians and inspectors, and now is the perfect time to do that. If you want to make more money or have more control over your time, go ahead and click the link below. Or if you just want to learn how to fix your own RV, got something for you there. Head over to rvtechcourse.com and get started today. Now for the reason that you're at the end of the video, roll the bloopers. Hey, on this Tic Tac 2. All right, and regardless if we're two minutes or maybe this is a second tech tip, right? For a separate show. No, not a separate show, another tech tip. I got so choked up because I was so happy. Make sure you got a good battery. Make sure you shouldn't got. Oh, man, now we're going to have grammar. So right now, you may be watching a brand new episode of Tech Tip Tuesday and go, Todd, why are you mid-sentence talking about something that you talked about last week? Well, that's because I did 2 tech tips in one show. There we go. All right.